to Bad Larry.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Bad Larry Kingdom. I'm your host, Bad Larry, and today we are introducing for the first time on the channel the vanilla chocolate ice cream swirl of superhero teams, Cloak and Dagger, part 36 of 39 in our Inferno series, and issue number 4. In the overly long titled Mutant Misadventures of Cloak and Dagger and the New Mutants. But before we continue, we gotta rate that cover. I went a bit harsh on the cover. I know 65%, it's like a D+. I understand artist Mike Vosberg was trying to put Dagger front and center with her sexy Dagger cut out in her form-fitting leotard, but the execution was poor. She looks like that really tall lady who used to be married to Sylvester Stallone. What's her name? Brigitte Nielsen, way back then, and then got gnarly. So here's a clip from 1987 of Brigitte Nielsen and Sylvester Stallone walking the red carpet, and you can't tell me that she is not the spitting image of Dagger, or vice versa. But then she got gnarly and had that show with Flavor Flav. But I digress. Anyway, the colors, the vibe, the detail, the clarity, they're all off for me. But let me know what you think of this cover down in the comments below. Now, I know in the cover it says the Mutant Misadventures of Cloak and Dagger, and there's been a lot of controversy. Are Cloak and Dagger mutants? Are they not mutants? Well, here's a breakdown. Cloak had speculated that Leech, who turns off powers of other mutants, had no effect on his powers because he and Dagger weren't mutants. So clearly, no, there weren't mutants. Then in Cloak and Dagger Volume 3, this series, they are said to be mutants. So now they are mutants. And then in Civil War, it said that the drugs that were given them triggered a latent mutant power. And that's how they were science and magic-based mutants. And then Norman Osborn came and said they weren't mutants, but they might as well be. And then Dagger was confirmed by Dr. Nemesis to not be a mutant. No way, no how, not at all, can't be. Absolutely not. And then Cloak and Dagger in Marvel Fact Files are mutants. Flip-flop more than a freaking fish. And then, finally, Steve Rogers, Captain America, claimed that they weren't mutants, but altered humans like he was. Maybe this is why Cloak and Dagger aren't as popular as other characters. They're freaking flip-flopping on their power-based origins. The title of this issue is Isolation. Inferno is basically over, and 3 goblin demons escaped being sucked back into Limbo Dimension. We see a green one, a red one, and the blue one with wings is indeed Crotus, the number 2 to Noster. What really gets my goat is continuity issues. We have seen Crotus many times. He was the main character in last episode. And what has been consistent with him through all the tie-ins is he did not have any wings. But what do we see here? Crotus with wings. What the heck? Get it together, Mike Vosberg. Anyway, the nimble-fingered Crotus stole a magic book from an ancient magician named Belasco and is trying to reopen the same gate that Noster tried to open. Crotus is basically trying to restart Inferno all over again. And now that Noster is dead, Crotus will be master now of the demons. Like Crotus has the actual ability to pull this off. Any demon spell requires a sacrifice, and Crotus' spell isn't any different. This time he needs specifically, quote, the sacrifice of 2 mutants whose souls are locked in black despair, end quote. Well, here's the problem that we already covered. Cloak and Dagger, they're not even mutants. Well, maybe this continuity issue caused the series to only go to 19 issues before being canceled. In issue number 1 of the Mutant Misadventures of Cloak and Dagger, Dagger became blinded by night's darkness. We saw some efforts to be inclusive of the disabled in this Inferno series. In the Exterminators, we were introduced to Taki the Whiz Kid, who's crippled and has to be in a wheelchair. In Fantastic Four, the Human Torch's wife is blind. And now, Dagger, aka Tandy Bowen, is blind. I think it's a bit too much for the audience to try and muscle through. As a kid, it would be tough switching from, let's say, Superman, the Man of Steel, with no real weaknesses, to then this comic with a short haired female lead who's blind. That's a tough transition. Again, maybe that's another factor in the failure of this particular run of Cloak and Dagger. Anywho, Dagger gets a call from her daddy, and the danger is actually just walking to the phone without knocking her shins. Ooh, exciting! Because Dagger is now blind, she can't tell that it isn't Cloak, but that bastard Crotus who teleported her into her apartment. But where exactly is Cloak per se? Well, he's locked in an energy bubble in space and his air supply is running out. He's moments from sure death. Okay, something that's actually interesting, a situation of literal life and death. We move our focus over on the left to Dagger's uncle, who's a priest, and he's going to therapy. Boring! Why don't we just jump to Dagger's cat, who's out chasing a mouse, and she's pissing on the sidewalk. Let's draw that in here. What are these filler pages? Anyway, we get back to the actual title character, and she's being manipulated by the real underhanded scumbag Crotus, disguising himself, voice and all, into making Dagger feel like crap. You see, his motive is for Dagger to off herself. It's a more powerful sacrifice for his spell, so that's why he's being a massive dickhead to her. Crotus is lying right to Dagger's face, like demons do. They lie, and it looks like he might try and get a little aggressive in a special victims unit type of way. Hit that panic button, Dagger! Now in space, Crotus's two goblin lackeys are manipulating and twisting up Cloak's mind, using his family as leverage to make him feel like crap. Crotus! No means no, you bugger! Dagger still has her light energy powers and lets Crotus have it! Dagger knows her light helps the real Cloak, but this creature, Crotus, it hurts. So, what's she gonna do now? She's still blind as a bat. Even though Dagger has exposed her enemy, Cloak is still lost in the state of confusion. These two goblin shape-shifting to everyone Cloak cares about, just guilt-tripping him into a depression. Dagger refuses to off herself and wants to kill her enemy, but can't see him. Just getting out of the bedroom is a task in itself. Crotus just stalking his prey down like the predator. As Dagger is actually fighting against Crotus, Cloak seems to be succumbing to the efforts of his enemies, attacking him out in his space bubble. The writer of this story, Terry Austin, he stated he did a lot of research for this issue to bring more awareness, I guess, for what blind people must go through on a day-to-day basis just to do normal life. These 2 pages are Dagger basically trying to find the phone. It's a long, drawn-out process, and Dagger still doesn't get the phone. It's annoying as the reader. It seems like fluff. But I think Terry's point is that the simple things that people who can see take for granted are strenuous tasks for disabled people. I feel like Terry's heart is in the right place. You know, he feels moved to bring a voice to these people, bring awareness to their cause. But let's be honest, we all intuitively understand this. Everyone has closed their eyes for like 5 or 10 seconds and try to walk somewhere in their house and realize it's scary and hard. We don't need to read about it in a comic book. It's a waste of entertainment. Again, I think this is why this series failed after only 19 issues. I will admit I enjoyed Dagger's character development in this one. She was feeling helpless and wimpy for being blind. She was attacked, and now she decides enough is enough and tells Crotus, "You want some of this? Come and get it, big boy!" And then she goes supernova, seemingly disintegrating Crotus totally. Very cool. But then she dials 0 to get the operator to connect her to her therapist, telling her she is ready to start her therapy. That part, it just seems forced. Out in space, we see what seems to be the final moments of Cloak's life. He deduces the simulacrums he's been seeing are not hallucinations or figments of his imagination, and tricks these two devious goblin demons into entering his protected energy bubble and promptly sends them into the dark dimension. The page says Cloak was a hero to the end. We will miss him, inferring he has died. Well, we know he doesn't. The run makes it another 15 issues. The New Mutants, yeah, remember them? They were on the cover? Yeah, they finally show up in these last 4 pages. They're looking for the same 3 goblin demons that have been torturing Cloak and Dagger this entire issue. The New Mutants and Dagger are somewhat familiar with each other, and we learn that Dagger's light blades are naturally attracted to Cloak. This new hodgepodge team plans to track down Cloak. Dagger is going to throw some light daggers towards Cloak, like heat-seeking missiles, and because she's blind now, the other heroes will be her eyes, and they will follow the light, so to speak. But first, Dagger needs to change. I know this outfit change is supposed to be some sort of big reveal, but her risque outfit doesn't compare at all to that of the Goblin Queen, am I right? Or even Gossamer, for that matter. As the heroes follow Dagger's light razors, they start heading farther and farther up into space. They have found the little energy bubble holding the empty Cloak inside, but there's no man. Dagger gasps, claiming Cloak to be dead. And scene. Look, I get it. You got a horror artist and writer doing this new team of Cloak and Dagger. It's a bit clunky. The issue drug on, meaning the flow to it was off. It felt more like a snack than a meal, if you get the analogy. And they forced the cliffhanger. The art wasn't great. So for these reasons, I rate the issue the same as the cover, 65%. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Stay tuned for the next episode where we continue wrapping up the Inferno saga in the spectacular Spider-Man issue number 148. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, be good to one another, and see you real soon. Peace.